With an election campaign ongoing here in Alberta, we're speaking with the candidates running to be the next MLA for Vermilion, Lloydminster, Wainwright, and today we're here with Daryl Dunn from the Alberta Party. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun talking about some issues of this campaign. Starting off, though, I want to give you an opportunity to maybe tell viewers a little bit about yourself. I know you've run. This isn't your first time running in a campaign.
No. I've been involved in politics basically since 1963 in a whole variety of forms. I've run in a provincial campaign in Saskatchewan before on a number of occasions. I did run for civic politics here in 2020. And this one was a little bit sudden, but we wanted to have a candidate in this riding, and it ended up being me, so that's why I'm here from that side of the coin.
Mm-hmm. So you're representing the Alberta Party. Talk
Yes.
to me about why the Alberta Party is the party that you chose to represent.
The Alberta Party is a centrist party. In other words, it's not driven by ideology, it's driven by pragmatic, good governance, and doesn't really care where the idea comes from. If it's a good idea, whether it's from the left or the right, let's support it and let's put it into effect. If it's not a good idea, regardless of where it comes from, let's not put it into effect. So it's more interested in doing what's good for the province as a whole than it is in ideology. So the party spends time getting involved with various expertise on various issues and getting input that is solid factual input as opposed to political ideology.
So if you were to be elected, what are some things that you're going to be maybe championing for this region or just in general? What are some of those policies that you think are very important?
Specifically, we of course have Lloydminster. It's the largest city in the riding. It has some unique challenges because it straddles the border.
Yeah.
So you set the health, education, affordability, those issues, set them aside for a second. You have to deal with two governments. And having been actively involved in both Saskatchewan and Alberta, I've got a real comfort level working both sides of that border. And we have to do a lot of work there because there is a tendency in both Regina and Edmonton to say, well, let the other guys deal with that issue.
Yeah, and then Lloydminster is stuck there.
And Lloydminster is stuck. So dealing with that issue is very important. Wainwright has a similar kind of, I'll call it an orphan situation because of the Canadian Forces bases there. There's a bit of an attitude, well, that's okay, let's let the federal government deal with some of the issues that happen there. Vermilion kind of being in the center is very much based on agriculture, certainly with some petroleum economic activity, but you've got a slightly different situation there. And one of the big challenges, and of course all that big land in between, is Vermilion River County, and you have a very negative situation with the amount of downloading of expenses that is going on from Edmonton to the rural areas, to the municipalities. Yeah. And the Municipal Government Act maintains that a municipal government cannot operate in a deficit. So their ability to move is capped, and when cuts are being made to the funding that goes to the municipalities, it puts them in a very tough situation. At the end of the day, that goes directly to the taxpayer.
And then they're forced to raise taxes.
They're forced to raise but of course, and then it's well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the way it is, especially when you consider how much GDP plus overall taxes go out of the riding to Edmonton. We need to see some of that back.
So let me ask you this. I think there may be a lot of people that are looking at the two major parties that are running in this election and not sure exactly, maybe like some things about each of them, don't like some of the divisiveness, maybe looking at the Alberta Party as this centrist option. But the question is, the party isn't running in every riding in the province. You know, I don't think the push is to form government. So what's your pitch to voters who are sitting there saying, we like some of the ideas, but we're not sure, we maybe want someone that has a seat at the table in a sense?
Yeah. I spoke to a couple of folks 2 days ago who did not realize that if you are running as a member of one of the big parties, then you have to vote according to what one person says. That's the leader. Now, there is nothing in our provincial constitution nor our federal constitution that insists that an MLA vote for what the leader wants. The system was designed so that MLAs would represent and vote in the best interests of their riding. The majority of work that is done on putting legislation together and putting it through the process is done in the back rooms, in the offices, in the committee rooms, so on and so forth. Once that's all done, then it hits the floor for a vote. So the reality is, being an MP for the government or the opposition doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. It depends how much work you do in those back rooms and in those back offices and so on to get legislation prepared to move forward. That's where the fights go. That's where you do a lot of your work. The other side of the equation for an MLA, as far as I'm concerned, is being in touch with the riding. In order to move people's interests forward, you have to know what those interests are.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to talk to them. You have to be prepared to go for coffee, be part of the seniors group, sit in on city council meetings, talk with your RMs and your councillors. So there's that whole spectrum of things. There's two sides to the equation. And it depends, the party colors are one thing, but that's not where the work gets done.
Well, Daryl, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us. I know we could talk probably for an hour,
Yes,
as you
we
have done before, about some of the issues, but it was great to get an introduction to you and a little bit about what your party stands for as well.
Perfect. Thank you
you
for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Okay.